Hey, it's Greg Grunberg, Snap Wexley, and you are listening to 6th Scale Scavengers.
All right, Scavengers, welcome back. Episode number 88. We're back. We had a little bonus episode, Chris and I, for the Sabine Wren. So this is our regularly scheduled program here. I'm your host, Bryan, joined as always with my good friends, Chris and TC. TC, check out the Rust. It's been a little bit since we've done a podcast with you. It's been, about a month or so?
I guess so. Yeah, we have basically missed 1 week. Or one episode, and you guys had your own episode, and that month goes by. It's just how it is.
Yeah, I know.
I can't believe Chris and I talked for what was it, close to an hour about Sabine Wren.
Yeah, I know. We're like 15, 20 minutes. Nope.
I dare anybody on the it was not going to be 20 minutes. I dare anybody on the interwebs that could have covered that one figure for as long as we did, and we still probably could have kept talking about that one. So yeah, no, we got a good topic. We're going to talk about, with these deluge of new figures coming out, like it's always the new and the greatest, but what are we going to do with what we've got in our collection? So we're going to talk about some of the things that each of us are doing, maybe some things to get out in front of. INART has been busy, so we're going to talk a little bit about that. Hot Toys, Chris, dropping lots of figures. And I just watched episode, I was going to say chapter 7, but episode 7 of Ahsoka with my son. And I know we were going to talk about one other figure released here, but I'm particularly looking for a blue skin Chiss personally to add to my collection, because I just love that character. Talking about Thrawn.
Oh yes. Yeah, I know. It's we're anticipating, some other figures coming out for the Ahsoka series, especially after what we've seen over the last few episodes. And definitely Thrawn is right at the top of that list. So it'll be great to eventually see him pop out in 6th scale form.
Yeah, I'm a little bit behind on that series. About 1.5 episodes. I just tend to watch it late at night, and then I'm just exhausted, and I don't finish it properly. But yeah, I'll get to it. I'll get to it very soon. But yeah, some amazing figures coming out of that line potentially. Hopefully, just in a few short weeks, we'll have a bunch of new ones.
We've got moderator Mike in the house. Thanks, Mike, for manning the chat tonight. And as he says, if you wouldn't mind hitting that like button, subscribe, hit the little bell notification. Whatever the YouTubers these days, Chris, talk about, I still feel like we're like the old fogies here that, are still trying to adapt to YouTube.
Smash, hit.
Yes, smash. Whatever. Don't pass. Andrew in the house. I know he's particularly excited about these figures as well. We've got Frank, the collector number 1, and yeah, we're gonna get this started. Oh, so I guess we can kind of do it in the show and tell. We'll do it in the show and tell section here, and let me just because I feel like I've never done this before in my life. Let's just dive right into this. So we've got some teases. So this is all of our show here, but man, this got me excited, TC, this morning. And on screen here, if you're listening to this in the audio form, we've got the outline silhouette of a couple characters here from the back. And I guess this Wonder Festival is coming up October 10th and October 2nd and 3rd, because I can speak the English language here. And some long rumored figures. There's one on here in particular, TC, that I know you got excited about, that I don't think I'd heard anything about them thinking about doing this particular movie line.
No, I mean, I think there was like a month ago, us three and Shane from is it 1/6 Figure Focus.
Figure Focus,
yeah, Figure Focus. We're talking in a chat, and I was like, dude, if they do like a Thor and Oakenshield in the Hobbit line, it'd be an absolute dream. I didn't think that they would ever do that, but lo and behold, I think this is Thor and smack dab in the middle right here. Oakenshield himself.
It's not Gimli. It's not Gimli. There's a lot of people. I know Hidalgo knew pretty much right away. I think it kind of gives it away with like that big fur vest that he's got on there. TC.
Yeah. Dude, I'm really excited because I think this is showing that they're willing to go. Like, okay, obviously he's the main character, one of the main characters from The Hobbit, but it's still people just thought they were going to touch Lord of the Rings. People didn't think they were going to go down the Hobbit line. I hope that they go further because I think they will find that there's a lot of collectors that do want these figures, even more than just Gandalf, Legolas, Aragorn. I think there's a lot of collectors that probably want a lot more. These movies are at the very top of the list for me, and they just have never been. There's never been a legitimate figure made, pretty much from any of these characters. Asmus recently has stepped up their game, but on the Harry Potter side, there's nothing really out there that's worth going for, in my opinion. And I love Lord of the Rings, and The Hobbit is close behind, close, not second, but it's running close to that series.
Did Asmus ever do a Thor and Oakenshield? I can't remember.
I don't know. I don't know. I should probably know that. But
I know. I was just thinking that same thing. It's completely escaped my memory.
Yeah,
if they did,
we're old here. But...
Yeah. I mean, but
anyway,
yeah,
so
go ahead.
Yeah, Chris, I was just going to throw it over to you. So obviously, potentially on Thorin's right shoulder here is somebody that you wouldn't mind collecting. Emilia Clarke, aka Daenerys
Targaryen,
Mother of Dragons. Yes, there.
Annie.
So
yes, yeah, that's interesting and exciting for INART to potentially delve into the Game of Thrones franchise in line, and obviously Daenerys would be tops, in my opinion, to start off with. If they are gonna get into that series, I would expect it to be light years better than the 3-0 Game of Thrones version. I mean, that figure is it's not the worst, but INART can just blow their product out of the water. So it will be really interesting to see how that comes out and what they do. If there's going to be, Joker style or Batman style, where there's like multiple versions, you can get, a dual package, different looks, all sorts of different things. Is she going to get baby dragons with her? Is she going to get the eggs? Like all this stuff. Crazy possibilities. And there's some really, really cool looking characters in that series. Not only the main characters, but some of the, the secondary characters and stuff. So possibilities are endless, I think, with Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I feel like you're going to get multiple SKUs with that. Well, I guess we haven't even talked about Superman yet, but with Superman, but like Daenerys, I think you'll get one, maybe like a premium, but like I think it'll just be rooted. Same with Thorin, and I guess we can talk about the Dumbledore, the Richard Harris Dumbledore.
Yeah. Richard Harris Dumbledore. So actually, the second Dumbledore just passed away today, Michael Gambon. So it's like I feel like it's like the fourth time we've lost Dumbledore. I mean, once in the books, once in the movies, and now twice with both actors, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But this obviously would be from the Sorcerer's Stone, aka Philosopher's Stone, and then Chamber of Secrets before Michael Gambon had took over and the Prisoner of Azkaban. So, I mean, this is cool. I mean, I'm definitely very interested in this one. I'm Just I think not only myself but my family loves Harry Potter. Obviously, have been at Universal this past summer and just being immersed in that. I think it's something that I want to collect, not just for myself, but just to have on display. Like even if I have to move it to like our movie room on there, But Chris, the one I think everyone's going to get excited about is the Christopher Reeve Superman. So they've been teased and talking about this on a lot of different streams, where people have been asking for this. I mean, the hot toy version of the original Superman is still, I hate to use the G word, but a lot of people try to get that figure. Obviously, we're just looking at the back of a silhouette here, but what I'm looking at here, Chris, is it looks like there's two rooted hair figures here.
Yeah. I mean, it looks like we're gonna get Superman and Clark Kent, and I can just imagine, like TC said, the amount of SKUs that they're going to have for this. I have a feeling that Clark Kent is only going to be available in a 2-pack, and then you might be able to get Superman with rooted hair separate and potentially sculpted hair separate. So
yeah, they might do what they did with the Batman with the Pattison one. So maybe they will break that up, but I don't see I can't see many collectors that would just get the Clark Kent figure without getting Superman. It's kind of like one and the other. Either you're just going to get the Superman figure, or you're going to get both, or you just we'll see. But
don't make people have to buy the Clark Kent to get the rooted Superman.
Yeah,
it's the only thing don't do.
That's I hopefully they learn their lesson from the Joker. But we'll see there. That's the one, guys. I'm probably not as I'm excited for collectors that are going to be there, but it feels weird to say. We were kind of joking about this earlier when we were chatting about the show. It's just like it's not really my Superman, although I'm the age that it could be. I just didn't ever really watch this growing up. And then, obviously the John Williams score is so iconic and it's still used, to this day, or I guess not really in the current DC movie universe here. But yeah, I think next week we're going to start to see some images here. But like TC, I'm also very interested. I really like the character of Thorin in those movies. They weren't the greatest. They're obviously not as epic as the Lord of the Rings ones, but I think we're going to start to get pretty darn excited about what INART is doing here.
Yeah, I think Thorin is probably my favorite, but close second, Dumbledore. Just because I'm glad they went with the original Dumbledore to pair with the episode or movie Sorcerer's Stone movie Harry Potter, and because I feel like that one, they could have skipped it and just gone ahead with the second Dumbledore, and we just may have never seen it, but I'm just really happy they that's the second figure in that line. It's awesome.
Yeah, I think they'll probably build the Harry Potter line off of, that first movie, and get those characters out. I would, and then I could see them potentially doing, Ron and Hermione, and then kind of calling it for that movie, and then moving on to them being, maybe a little bit older or something like that.
Yeah. For sure.
Talking years down the road, though.
Yeah, this is something this is gonna go for a while. It's not like they're gonna ever issue 10 figures in a year. I'll sound like a broken record, but I kind of, my wallet kind of likes, maybe doesn't like that the fact that these figures cost a lot, but the fact that it's a little bit easier to budget out and you can go with the less is more approach, quality over quantity. And from what I've seen so far, as long as it's a figure that I'm interested in and it's it looks like it's going to turn out well, that's it's just all part of these mathematical gymnastics that we do with our budgets and finances and stuff, just to make all this fun stuff happen. Before we talk about Wanda, just quick shout out, Danny Lee in the house, Mario, the intergalactic arms dealer in the house. Probably still the only person on the planet that remembers that that nickname for you there. So yeah, just good stuff here. All right, let's talk about Scarlet Witch. So we are going to talk about the Artisan version, but I thought, TC, this was your show and tell. I thought it would be interesting to show the insane difference between this sculpted hair version, which I think unfortunately a lot of people are going to probably have to go for. Have we seen what the production line is going to be for the figure, or we don't know that yet?
I think it's 2,500 worldwide, and what, of that, like 500 is Hong Kong or something.
So is that closer to the Anakin or to the Joker?
It's less than Anakin.
Oh man,
Anakin was I think 4,000 or 3,500.
Anyway,
so I said the numbers. Someone's going to correct me in the chat, but I know Sideshow got like 1,000 to 1,500 Anakins because it kind of tapped out at that like 1,200 person mark. So you got to figure they got about 1,000, maybe a little bit more. I don't know what they're going to get here. Just say they get 1,000 or 1,500. I don't know.
I mean, TC, I think they finally nailed the head sculpt on this, but the sculpted hair is not doing this any favors. It's
hard. I mean, that's the thing. It's long hair is just a pain to deal with. I mean, if you go sculpted, I can see how this would just kind of press up against her jacket and her shirt, and just you can't really move the sculpts around with the way that the sculpted hair lies. I do think like the silhouette might be a little bit more accurate than the rooted hair. It's a little bit flatter. But I mean, yeah, it's tough to argue with that. I mean, it looks pretty good to me. the rooted version. I'm torn on this one mainly because of like what we saw today. Like it's not just Hot Toys anymore. And you've got INART teasing 5 different figures that all look amazing. J&D's coming out soon. We don't know what they're going to do.
Right.
But there are other IPs now that have legitimate figures. And you have Hot Toys here where it's like they gave out the Artisan line, but it doesn't seem like it's like they're truly their best foot forward. The rooted hair is nice. The figure the proportions are nice. The tailoring is nice. And the head sculpt's great. But I think, everyone has already pointed this out. The jacket's pleather. The pants probably pleather. So that's a little bit of a letdown. I know I'm 50-50 on this one. I was wanting to go for the rooted version, but I kind of talked myself out of it. But also at the same time, it is the classic Wanda that everyone knows back since Civil War, basically. I mean, this was one of the most sought after figures in Hot Toys history at the height in like 2018, 2019. Everyone wanted the Civil War Wanda. You had it, Chris. I think you sold it at the peak.
Yeah.
And you got a pretty penny for it.
And even at that time, like it was just an awesome figure, and it was hard to let that one go. But it made sense at the time. So yeah, I mean, for me, I think this figure looks great. The aesthetic of this suit for Wanda, I think, is the best that she had. I mean, I like the other ones, don't get me wrong. They all look good, but I think this look for her is the best. And the Artisan definitely bumps it up a notch with that style rooted hair. I don't mind the sculpted hair that much, honestly. I think it looks pretty good for what it is. But yeah, I mean, I don't think I would love to have this figure in my collection, the Artisan one, but I don't see it. I'm sorry, I'm not going to go for it. But yeah, I think
some of the tailoring just looks sloppy on it too. Like the seam on the front of the pants, like they could have done better. It's almost just like they took the prior version. Honestly, if they had made
the prototype, but
I mean, if this was the Civil War version with her, I just didn't care for her with this color hair either. You know, I'm red green colorblind, so it's tough for me, but it's just, when I think of her, I don't think of her with this color hair, you know. I don't know. Like, this is definitely going to be one of those ones that if you're not on Sideshow the day that it goes, you're gonna yell at the lottery system, and but
yeah,
I don't think there's going to be as many people even though there's less of these. I don't think it's going to be as in demand as the Anakin and the Joker were, though.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think, well, first of all, it has not been a very long time since the last time we did this Artisan thing. So it's Hot Toys, you know, are they going to then push the limit on how many Artisan figures they drop a year? Like, everyone's thinking like every quarter it'd be great to have one. Are they going to do one every month, every 3 weeks, and make the luster of it, get lost? I don't know. But, Wanda really, she was kind of an underrated character at the very beginning. And everyone knew she was really powerful, but then all of a sudden by the end, she's like the queen of the MCU. So, I mean, I don't know. She's a key character, great actress, just awesome figure. And I don't know. I'll play it by ear for the next couple weeks. I RSVP'd to both of them. And I'll just decide at the end which route I want to go. I do want to get this. If it's not the rooted, then I'm probably going to lay back and just kind of shop around. But
the base is pretty cool.
Yeah, Mike's asking. Let's see what the chat thinks. What do we think the price on this one's going to be? I mean, I'm thinking probably maybe a little bit more than the Anakin, just because of the base.
I forget what What was the Anakin price?
Was it 500
something? No, it was 4 something, like 450. I don't know, 450, somewhere around there. So this was probably in that range.
425, 435, something.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, pricing it above 500 would be pretty
gutsy.
Yeah, pretty.
It would have to have a lot more features to it to even come close to that kind of price.
All right. Yeah. Well, that's Wanda. Let's talk about her counterpart in the Multiverse of Madness. That's what we call in the business as a segue.
Smooth.
It was segue. Pretty smooth. Yeah, Mario's saying 460 on the Wanda. That's probably about right. What I would say, maybe like 475. So, Chris, what are we looking at here?
Yeah, they finally released the Doctor Strange version of Doctor Strange from Multiverse of Madness, and this is the Doctor Strange that I had been looking forward to. I think this is the best one so far that we've seen. So this is and not like the figure is actually out in Hong Kong, but yeah, great looking figure. The detail on this outfit is phenomenal. He's got great accessories. He's got the third eye head sculpt, which I think looks really weird, but it's cool, and can't wait to see how he uses it in the future. But yeah, this is one I had been looking forward to, and I kind of held out, and I did pre-order this one with Ray at Underground Figures. It's got some awesome accessories, books, his the handcuffs, all the magic effects and that sort of thing. Head sculpt, I think the regular head sculpt, phenomenal. I think they nailed it with this, and yeah, the third eye one just looks so weird. But yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think?
This figure's awesome.
Yeah,
this is great. First of all, you get ankle pivot here. You get the split cut boot, so that's nice. Sculpt's awesome, and it's just great to see our beloved characters in the MCU not sitting on the shelves.
Yeah,
just sitting collecting dust at retailers, because it's just a shame that happens. But this guy's like, you can it's pretty actually kind of difficult to find.
Yeah.
He's at Pop
sold
Culture.
out at a lot of retailers.
Yeah. Other than that, anything stateside, I don't see him anywhere. I do have him pre-ordered from Off the Rack Collectibles.
Yeah.
But I have him and Wanda, the other Wanda, from Multiverse of Madness, also pre-ordered there. But yeah, that's the pair I want together. And man, like you said, Chris, this is just, I think it's the best one. Yeah. And the two sculpts, great. You know, it's a pretty expensive figure, but you know, the fact that you get two sculpts is great value.
Yeah, he's got so many different options to display him, you know, with the cloak of levitation, with it on, with it off, different sculpts, different magic effects, all sorts of different things. That's what's great. And then the wiring in the cape seems to be pretty sturdy. I'm hoping it's like the cape for Moon Knight, which is phenomenal as well. But yeah, I don't know when I'll see this one, but glad that I've got one coming eventually.
Yeah, I definitely love the curl of the hair. I think had they been able to figure out a way to do the rolling eyeballs with this one, I think this would have just put it completely over and above the best one. So yeah, I mean, they've taken how many cracks at this? Is it like the fifth figure they've done now? If I still had the website, I'd be able to tell.
Fourth one. They had the original one, Infinity War, Spider-Man version, which is basically Infinity War, and then this guy.
Yeah, so 4. Okay. Still got a little bit of that magic touch left here, pun intended. Yeah, this I this is gonna sound bad. I think the third eye looks much better on the figure than it did in the CGI in the film.
Right?
That's just my one.
You're not wrong.
I don't remember the dragon part here either. I only saw this movie once. It was not my favorite. I think also we took our son to see this in the movie theater, and because it was Sam Raimi and it was a little bit more of like a horror type movie, he just absolutely hated it. And I think that kind of rubbed off on me. But you can't deny that this is Benedict Cumberbatch. So kudos to Hot Toys. And I mean, we've again sound like a broken record. They definitely have to start stepping up the game. So I think we're going to start to see the figures that are coming out later, because I think they started to hear the footsteps from INART and their competitors. And you know, as we'll talk about with the topic a little bit later on, like I'm more encouraged about where they're going than maybe where they've been most recently. And it's stuff like this that will, you know, it's not to like earn the graces back of collectors, because I don't think they've really gone anywhere. And Hot Toys is still clearly the #1 brand in the world when it comes to 6-scale figures. But I mean, there's certainly plenty of people out there that are just like, I'm just collecting INART. I don't care about anything else. It's INART or bust. And I don't think that's the right answer, because I still think Hot Toys is going to give you, you know, some things to be able to add to your collection that you won't get from anywhere else.
Yeah, they'll always give you the variety. It's just how many times do you want to spend $275 and then 6 months later the figure's worth $210 or $180? Like, do you want to do that on repeat? Not really. And there's no need for that. They're showing right now they can operate very smoothly if they just produce figures at a third of what they did at the peak. And then there's a collector base that wants them. They buy them up, and all of a sudden you have something that you can trade, hold. You have something that's you can be proud of, rather than something that is half its value 2 months after you buy it at retail.
All right, I'm the host and I'm cheating, so I'm doing 2. I have 2 show and tells, only just because of what dropped today. And I don't, yeah. All right. Well, this is more of a yeah, I guess we'll do this one first. Already kind of spilled the beans. So as we say in New England, choppa. Our second Ahsoka
Get to the
figure here.
choppa.
Get to the choppa. That's the worst impression you'll ever get on YouTube. Did not expect this one to drop today, Chris. We just had the Sabine Wren episode a week or 2 ago, so this is now the second figure that we've seen from Ahsoka. I mean, like we were talking about that episode, this was like almost a near certainty to be made. Hot Toys does take an opportunity to miss making a droid, especially where it's not something that requires a face sculpt, and it's, you know, it's their engineering, you know, their fine paint work here. I mean, this basically is, and we talked about it before, one of the reasons why I'm definitely in on these. It's not necessarily, I think the Ahsoka show has been great. It's not been like the greatest thing since sliced bread, but like, as we talked about before, Chris, like this also hits the checks the boxes for Star Wars Rebels.
Mm-hmm.
And it just like, I've watched through the Clone Wars. I didn't watch them when they were first out, but I did watch, as we talked about, I did watch Rebels as it was out. I kind of know what the Clone Wars people felt like originally, because now you're seeing some of that stuff kind of come to fruition. And every time I see something like this and with Sabine,
mm-hmm.
I think I realize more and more about like how much I actually really came to care for those particular characters. And because, I mean, it is animation or whatnot, but you're able to spend more time with them. Those characters are more well developed. Nothing is ever going to take away from the Luke Skywalkers and Princess Leia's and Han Solos of Star Wars. But when you get to know these characters, even in some of the filler episodes, it's just really cool. And to see, I mean, could you imagine, Chris, like back in 2018 that we'd see Chopper in 6-scale form from a cartoon? I mean, obviously
never thought it'd be in live action. Yeah. I never would have anticipated it. And I mean, these characters, you know, they transcend the show because of their origins, and it's awesome to see these figures.
TC, he's just a little smidge shorter than R2, but certainly not that much less in price. You're definitely paying up for this one.
Well, it looks like you got some like articulation on the where the head meets the body. Like you can rotate.
Yeah, it looks like you can tilt him because he's kind of like kind of bounces around. He's just like Susan was saying, he's the best war criminal ever. I like him because he's salty and ordinary, and you can't understand his droid speak as Dave Filoni, but you know that he's swearing in droid. So this just looks great. I just love the fact that he just uses his little arms like he's flexing, and you know, he's got the little disc that he threw on Morgan Elsbeth's ship there in that second episode. You definitely can get a lot of character expression, I think, out of this. Just a lot of details. We'll talk about in the collection update. I already did pre-order this with Ray at Underground Figures. So this is a second Star Wars Ahsoka Dopo for me. The Dopo is back. I know
Andrew's comment. Pretty funny.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, like I probably from the show wouldn't get the other characters like Eris Dula, probably wouldn't even get Ahsoka or Sabine, but I could go for a Chopper and a Huyang, those two together. I know, and then maybe like R2 and an R5, and then all of a sudden you have like a little, quartet of droids.
Little droid pool going on.
Yeah, you could have a droid sub collection.
And they're all available, so I don't know. I mean, maybe I have to start thinking this over. But this is a really cool figure.
I don't know. Seeing the R2 here, Chris, makes me wish I didn't get rid of mine. And that's another figure too that I think is semi hard to come by. I might have to hit up TC's Honey Hole at Pop Culture and see if they still have an R2.
Probably. I know. I still have the one that I had from is that one Return of the Jedi? Yeah.
You have the it's Empire.
Not the anniversary one.
Yeah, you have the Empire one.
I totally forget which version it is.
I don't know. Just go back behind the scenes. Yeah, just go back behind the scenes in the Letty.
It's the original trilogy version.
Yeah, it's got every single attachment you could think of.
That's a good one
for it. Yeah.
I think that was technically the New Hope one, but I think they added everything to it. So
that's right.
Yeah. Mike's saying this will be a fun figure to have. So, and again, it's one of those rare Star Wars figures that has some pop on the shelf, obviously with the bright dome here. So yeah, this definitely was something that caught my eye, almost immediately when I saw it. So the Dopo's back. when appropriate, the Dopo's back.
Exactly.
And now it seems you have to actually sometimes do that. 2 months go by and some of these figures are kind of hard to,
Yeah, they're
locate.
already done on Sideshow, and then you're looking elsewhere.
All right, so I cheated because this was the figure I was originally going to talk about. So we finally got the prototype production photos of the INART Henry Cavill Superman, as I've dubbed him, as the INART Supes. This just looks like amazing. Again, spoiler alert, I did also put in a pre-order for this one as well. My son actually really liked these movies when we watched them, and Gare said it earlier, like this is his Superman. I would probably pretty much agree with that, because I actually really liked Man of Steel when it first came out. BVS, Batman vs Superman, maybe wasn't the best. I think the director cut definitely salvaged it quite a bit, and it's a shame that we're not going to see him past Justice League. But for what it was and what he did, I think just turned out great. And one of the things I do like about InArt is they'll actually respond to people in the comments. Like, people actually will make genuine suggestions. Like, I'll see them occasionally, or people like, hey, I'll move my mouse on the screen here, but like, they'll actually say like, hey, could you guys consider fixing up around like the biceps, or like the back of the cape, or just little different things. And it's not like, they're not like, well, screw you, just what do you matter? They're like, oh, we'll take it under consideration. Are they going to actually change it before it goes final? Maybe not. But I think as much as they probably are TC with like, the attention to detail and everything, sometimes you put something out here and you've got like potentially like millions of different people that'll look at it and be like, yeah, this stinks, or this is great, or they'll actually maybe catch something that you missed. But for various different reasons, they can't release them until they're ready to go. Because then if they put out a really crummy product and it's up for pre-order, no one's going to pre-order it. So it has to be like almost their like best effort, but then they will also be willing to make some changes as needed here.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely not perfect as a company. They have made several mistakes already, but the thing that it kind of get the feel on these releases is every time that they give a release, it seems like they're trying to put their best foot forward. Like, it doesn't feel like they're holding anything back. Like, I just feel like, going back to the Wanda just real quick, it's almost like Hot Toys is saying, all right, let's do an Artisan Wanda now, and in 4 years we'll do the Artisan Wanda with leather jacket, Artisan leather series. Like, it always just feels like they're holding something back so that they give themselves an out to make a second version. Like, I don't know, with this, they could make another Henry Cavill Superman in the future. I mean, obviously they can do whatever they want, but this feels like they're putting their best foot forward for this specific version, so that in 4 or 5 years, it's not obsolete. This is what it kind of feels like to me, and it's felt like that since, the first figure that they showed.
I mean, you've got a wired cape, you've got a drape cape, you've got a stand, there's a flight stand. We'll show some pictures. I hope they do come up with a better option to display him in a flying pose than what they currently have. The angry sculpt. So interestingly enough, both these head sculpts are both sculpted hair. However, the angry sculpt, there's one little like a cowlick hair that comes down that's actually rooted, which is very interesting. I'm just seeing here too, there's a Batfleck Batman cowl, excuse me, here, and it looks like the hand is actually holding it, so you can have him like he's holding it.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, this is bad. This is not Captain America's behind here. This is Henry Cavill's, but the zipper you're probably never going to see because of the cape. However, the flight stand actually goes in through the zipper, and you can already see the stress on the left and the right of that going in there. I don't know if that means the zipper is going to start to fly up afterwards. It could also cause the suit to lose some of the, tightness across like the waist. Yeah, there's Chris. There's that photo of him holding up the cowl. This is it closed. Looks like he's also clenching his cheeks here. I'm trying to find a better. Yeah,
flexing
so this
for
is
the camera.
Yeah, flexing for the camera. Yeah, this is what the flight stand would look like in the back of the figure. Honestly, I don't think they could have gotten away with a magnet. I mean, they can make magnets pretty strong nowadays, but I wouldn't feel comfortable with the whole figure just suspended in midair with a magnet. I don't know what they're going to be able to do here. Here's another look at that that small little rooted hair on the front. Angry sculpt. I mean, again, great. This just looks like TC said. This looks like it's just every single one of these figures that come out. It just looks like it's like a movie blockbuster. It's like it's an event, and they're going to be touching on a lot of these different licenses that you don't have to go get them all. Get something. Again, we'll preach it all the time. Collect. I mean, so many people now say collect what you love. Well, I mean, that's a no-brainer, but don't just get this because it looks great. I mean, obviously it should have, a little bit of meaning to your collection. And if you missed the beginning of the show with INART teasing what they've got coming up next week, there's so much more, and there's going to be more. And if INART can stick around for years and years, like Hot Toys has been around for over 20 years, 20 years of INART, that's going to look pretty darn good.
Yeah. There are those clenched cheeks again.
You'll never unsee that now.
It's pretty cool. The not the cheeks, but the back zipper. Like, I think there's no stitch line on the sides, right?
No.
Is that kind of they avoid that? You see, put the zipper in the back. I mean, that's pretty cool. And then they revised the sculpt. So, like you said, Brian, they may not do everything, but they already, took some criticism, and they don't just say, "Oh, well, screw you." They go back and
I honestly think this stitching almost looks like it's splitting.
Yeah,
I honestly don't think that they can go to production with it like this. So I'm actually ordering it with assuming that they're going to have fixed this before it comes out. So either that way, or I will never probably, if that's how it's going to release at production, I don't think I'll have him flying. Although it does look pretty cool just to have him in a flight pose like that.
And the two capes, the wired and the non-wired. So you get the one that drapes really nicely, and then one that you can do all the different action poses. I mean, come on.
Yeah, that one great. With a mean face.
Yeah. INART, you're doing some good stuff.
Save those pennies.
Yep, exactly. All right, that is show and tell. And like I said, I cheated. All right, let's go to collection update. So this isn't going to be nearly as exciting as it has been recently, because I certainly have slowed down. Oh shoot, I do have a couple more pictures to show here. Let's figure out how I'm going to do that. Well, I look for TC's photo. Why don't you go first? Chris?
Yeah, I don't have any pictures here. So several episodes ago, I had said that I had ordered some of the CCFL lightsabers from Chris de Guzman on Facebook, and they finally came in, and I set up my Ahsoka quickly today. But so it's the two lightsabers and her lantern, and I can't express enough like how bright these lightsabers
are insane.
It's nuts. Like, I mean, I turned off all the lights down here and had just the lights and the lantern on, and it lit up everything around it.
Do they get hot? Are they hot to the touch, or are they just?
They have some warmth to them. They've been on for an hour. They've been on for an hour right now. But yeah, these ones are the USB ones, and he's got all the wiring and the adapters, and it's got a switch on the wiring. So once you get it all set up, then you can just have handy and turn them on. But yeah, really, really cool. Not cheap, but I think eventually if they have another Ahsoka that comes out, I can transfer these to that one, and mess around with displays, but kind of worth it because there's no way Hot Toys is doing anything like this out of the box.
No.
And I'm definitely getting more open to some of this customizing if some of the characters and figures that we like aren't going to be made by INART or by one of these other companies. If you can customize and kind of make the way that you want, I think that's a cool way to go. So yeah, I got those. And then other than that, I just, like Bryan, I pre-ordered Chopper from Underground Figures. Ray over there. Yep. I just wanted to lock it in because I know I was going to get this figure no matter what. So might as well get it with Ray.
Yeah, for sure. Because I mean, it's at some point his stuff will, he doesn't have an infinite supply. He's allocated a certain amount. So I've been really glad to see a lot more, a lot more of our friends in the hobby also, talking about, Ray and the customer service and stuff that he has.
Mm-hmm.
So, especially if I know it's something that Ray has access to, obviously he can't get INART stuff, but if it's Hot Toys or, my son and I also like to collect the 3-0 Transformer figures, and he has some access to those too. So that is good. So cool. All right, TC, I do have your photo ready to go now. Actually, snuck it up on Chris's screen real quick there, but
got the king.
Mm-hmm.
Got the king. Yeah. So got the Black Panther original suit. Where did I get it from? Got it from Ray. So yeah, got it from Ray. Awesome figure. Super cool. The sculpt, it's probably an 8 out of 10. It's not dead on perfect. It's better than the other one, the original Black Panther from the movie. Not the Civil War one, but the second one that was released. Like you might think, oh, it looks pretty much the same. It's not. It's definitely not the same. This one also, it fits better on the neck. It's not going to destroy the suit. I think the other one, it was like it would scrape up against the neck area. But this one seems to be pretty good there. And yeah, just simple pose. Got one arm ready to slice you, another arm fit in it, just his fist. But yeah, cool figure. And put him on the top shelf because that's where he belongs in the collection, right on the top shelf. King of the MCU. So hey, matches my Civil War print I've got from Tyler Stout. He's got I'm looking at it right now. I see the Black Panther every day. So I was like, you know what? I need to snag this before they're gone because they're pretty much gone. So yeah, cool figure. Great detail by Hot Toys. Got to give him credit here. Pretty just clean all around. Stitching. I don't know how they did the the neck, the necklace, and then the pieces around his forearms.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how they did that. Like I think they glued them individually. I could be wrong on that, and painted them individually. I don't know, but it's a pretty tough thing to pull off in my opinion. It looks really good.
That's my favorite look for Black Panther.
Yeah, it's awesome, and the proportions are great. It's top notch.
Very cool.
Oh, and then I sold a battle damaged Thanos. Forgot about that.
The
end game Thanos?
Is that the one you parted out, or
no? I parted out another one, but I bought a few of them to do resell, and didn't really make any money on that adventure. Didn't really lose that much, but it's not like I didn't really do that well either. Just you can hold those suckers till the end of time itself, and it seems like you're not, there's just too many of them out there. But yeah, so I sold that one, and it's a great figure. But just move it along, put the funds back in, and pretty much purchase the Black Panther.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Oh, yeah.
So I've been busy selling lately too. I think the last time out, I said the embarrassing thing about I had misspelled my eBay username. I did fix it the other day, so it is back to normal. It has an N in Scavengers. It's not Scavengers. So I've been selling a couple figures. So I think when I got back in, surprise anybody. I think I was just like, I got so into it. I was just like grabbing stuff that I definitely thought I definitely would want, but the more I thought about the display, and as I've talked about, INART has really kind of changed, my outlook on, definitely the less is more approach. So I think I had gotten rid of the Marty from Back to the Future 3. I think I'd already mentioned I was just going to go with Marty and Doc from Back to the Future 1 with the Back to the Future 2 DeLorean that I have. I did sell both of these Sequitanos that I had that were sealed, the Clone Wars version and then the DX20, just because I'm expecting that we're going to get another version here. And we'll talk about that in a little bit, about what to do with older figures. And I also sold the Mando Luke that I had as well. That was still sealed. I just think that he's also potentially a candidate for an Artisan release here, at some point. So I'm gambling that I can get a better Luke down the road than what I would have access to today. Again, part of our topic. Obviously, Chris and I, if you missed that bonus episode, I had pre-ordered Sabine. Chris also had ordered Sabine as well. I also got Chopper today with Ray at Underground Figures, and I did, as I mentioned a little bit ago, pre-order the INART Superman from Spec Fiction. So yeah, I've just also like the three of us have been talking. I have just so much stuff that I've just accumulated outside of like 6-scale, like extra Lego sets and stuff. I had a huge Shore Trooper collection of a whole bunch of stuff. I've had stuff, this is on my desk now, but like the little vinyl stuff, Vinylmation figures, like, SH Figure Arts, Mayfax, just all this stuff. When I was just like, if it was Shore Trooper, I was getting it. And I'm just at this point, I'm like, a lot of these things are sitting in a box. 20 years from now, am I going to look at this box and be like, oh, this is cool that I had this, but I'd rather just purge it, sell it. If it's not on display, I'd rather just not have it hanging around, and I'd rather use it to, fund future purchases. So, we talk about that all the time. Use your collection to fund your collection. Again, part of what we'll talk about here in a little bit. Speaking of, so we were trying to think of a topic. I don't think we're going to spend too much time on this, but Chris, TC, I feel like ever since we've been, air quotes back, I think the hobby, as they noticed that we were back, so they're actually doing a lot more for the community in general. I'm just kidding. It's not because of us, but INART really has stepped up the game. Hot Toys is also, we've talked about the Artisan line and stuff. There's potentially newer versions of characters that we all have on our shelves now. Is, what do we do with what's already there? Do we take, do we just keep adding? We never subtract anything out. I know we've talked in the past too about kind of, lopping off the bottom like 5 of your big figures in your collection, just to keep that rotating. It's hard. I guess it all depends on what kind of a collector you are, because if you have certain figures that are for certain franchises and stuff, those are probably not what's going to go. But what we just talked about, Chris, I'll throw it over to you first here. We're now on our 4th Doctor Strange figure. you could really love Doctor Strange. You could have all 4 figures on your shelf, or are you just going to keep the best one? And if there's a new best one out there, what do you do with the other ones? Do you keep them? Do you sell them? Sell them at a loss? I mean, anytime you sell a hot toy, you're going to sell at a loss these days. But
yeah, it's rare to make a profit. Maybe some of those Star Wars figures in that like 2019, 2018 range, you might make some money on. But I mean, it's a question that a lot of us have to ask ourselves. How much do we like a character? How many versions do we need? Are we always, is the next one always going to be the best one? Typically with Hot Toys, it is. Especially with Doctor Strange, because his looks are very similar to each other. It's not that much of a difference between like the color schemes, and Gare is the king of the deal for
that just
the
means he's
buyer.
generous. He's just generous.
He's very
Gare is
kind-hearted.
he's one of the most kind-hearted, generous people I know on the planet. So
yeah.
I don't think he's ever struggled to sell something quickly, though.
No. I mean,
if he wants to move it, he's able to move it quick.
It's like a feeding frenzy for sharks in Blood in the Water, on OSR, BST. Yeah, I mean, it's really those are the types of questions you have to ask yourself. And that's why, like, I held out. I could have gotten the Spider-Man No Way Home version of Doctor Strange. It was all over the place. And but I didn't really like that. I mean, it's okay, but I just thought the Multiverse of Madness one was so much better. And I'm willing to wait for that one. So, and I've had the Infinity War version, and I sold that a couple of years ago. And I mean, I did kind of miss it because I love the character, but I knew that eventually Hot Toys would come out with something, a few notches better. Some older figures. I'm thinking probably my Homecoming Spider-Man, my Hela. I think those are my oldest figures right now. Roughly 5 years. Gosh, yeah, maybe 5 years old each, 5-6 years old. But we haven't gotten, we've gotten plenty of Tom Holland Spider-Man, but in my opinion, I think the Homecoming look is the best, for that character, and we only got one Hela, so one-off characters like that, unless you want to go with third party, knockoffs. Yeah, so some figures definitely are worth holding on to for a long term if they're characters you really like, but some of those main characters, Iron Man, Cap, Luke, Vader, it's just, how many do you actually need of this, the same character?
Yeah, definitely some that are worth holding on to. Just maybe at the time when you buy and sell it, you don't realize that. But like, I can think of like the Han Solo Stormtrooper version.
Yeah.
I can't see a scenario where that one would ever, outside of Hot Toys, just flat out saying, all right, here's another batch. That one ever really, declining big time in value. Mm-hmm. Unless there was something like, Star Wars fans they're too crazy. They need their differences. Like Stormtrooper Han is different than New Hope Han, different than Empire Han, Hoth Han, Bespin Han. They're all different. So it would take a straight up reissue of that figure to really hurt it. Now, maybe like just over time, I don't even know, because sometimes like just the general like supply of figures in general can hurt a figure, even if it's not a direct reissue, just because there's so many options where collectors are going to turn to. They might trade in a certain figure, but that one is one that I can think of. It'll hold its value, but I don't know. I'm having to do the same thing. Like, I see that Wanda behind me, in the top right corner. Yeah, well, that's not old. But I mean, I didn't think that
you
Hot
just
Toys was
got
going to
it.
release the Endgame Wanda. Like I was like, oh, like WandaVision Wanda, that's cool. Wanda, Scarlet Witch, okay.
Mhm.
And then the Multiverse of Madness, yeah, I think 2 Wandas is good. Well, 2 months later, they're releasing out of nowhere the Endgame Civil War Wanda. So it's just like, probably I'll take the L and sell that one to get the multiverse one. I don't know. It's just I've come to the conclusion it's just you just gotta be okay with that kind of stuff because more than ever, they're just making more and more figures. It just is what it is. It can be old figures, it can be new. You just gotta decide for yourself when you want to, cash out and invest in the new one. And like you said, Bryan, it's different for everybody.
I mean, Chris, it was something TC just said about Star Wars collectors and needing all the different versions. It just dawned on me. I think a lot of that comes from like the old Kenner figures. Like, you had Pilot Luke, you had Farm Boy Luke, all these different things. And it's funny how things still end up in like those buckets.
Collect them all.
Collect them all.
And yeah, TC, you're right. Like Star Wars, the original trilogy, the prequel trilogy, sequel trilogy, the shows, it's like they're all in their own like box. Whereas the MCU, it's just like linear. And
I mean, I get it. I'm not even like sorry, just real quick. I'm not even like a traditional Star Wars fan, but I love Bespin Luke. Just because they might release Artisan and New Hope Luke, that's not going to change the fact that Bespin Luke is my favorite Luke.
Right.
So
yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, like I have Endor Luke. That's my Luke. And but I mean, I love Luke, but right now I can't justify having a different version of him.
If you wanted them, you can get them cheap.
Exactly.
They're selling for under retail because there's just so many of them, and there's so many of them that all came out, at the right time.
And sometimes, well, I was just gonna say on that subject, like it does water down some of these characters, and some like the amount of different Lukes you can get right now is crazy. But like at there was a period of time when it was really tough to get Luke figures, and now you can just pick whichever one you want basically and pay less than retail.
It almost it makes it tougher not to make a mistake because we're all human. And like, to TC's point too, with with the WandaVision figure, we never know what's going to come the next day. These toy companies are there to make money. They're going to make things that they think are going to sell well. They don't care if they've probably made 10, 12 different Luke Skywalkers at this point. It also magnifies like the mistakes, because when you feel like in the moment you maybe didn't make the wrong choice, but like in hindsight, it's always easier because, these figures take a year to, 16 to 18 months to come actually out. And in the meantime, your own thought process could have changed about what your preferences are, or maybe there's a different version, or, we're going to start to see a little bit more with these other companies starting to make things too, is like, you can't even just hang your hat on like, well, this is what Hot Toys might do. You're going to have these other toy companies that are going to try to put out and make their own products that are going to sell well. So I think we could probably just put a bow on this, is just say, you have to be comfortable potentially losing money. You have to know that there's potentially always going to be a better figure. The dirty word starts with an R. Reissue is also always a possibility. But I think you can also, we've talked about it many different times over the course of 88 episodes plus, is yes, it can be a loss, like on the balance sheet. You can look at it from a black and white perspective of I paid X for it and this is what I'm selling it for. And it's clearly like, a $75 loss, $100 loss or more. And you could be like, well, I just lost $75 to $100. Or you could look at it like Gare Bear does. And you're like, well, I can sell this for less and I can use that to get something else that I might want more in the moment. And then instead of viewing it as losing it, you basically spent $100 to have the figure in that collection for that period of time too. So there's some intangible parts of that, but I would say there's probably a very small percentage of collectors out there that think in that way and are comfortable with that and just know that that's the game. Versus Chris, like the 95% of people are like, I would never sell a figure at a loss and I'll just hold on to it as long as I can. Like, everyone's going to make mistakes. No one's ever going to have a perfect record of getting exactly the same figure, all the figures that they want at the right time, for the right price. You show me a collector like that and you could probably knock me over with a feather.
That's Chris. Well, I'm just going to say, INART's making Thorn Oakenshield. Talk about a long shot. Odds that would be one of the announcements. If they're making Thorn Oakenshield, they can make anything. It's all on the table.
Yeah.
So you can't be correct 100% of the time. Just have to enjoy it and understand that the right decision today could prove wrong tomorrow. But that's the best you can do.
Would you like, and that's the thing is like we get to TC's point, you get a new data point like almost every day or something like that. Like, more the day after than the day before. And today we now know that potentially Thor and Oakenshield is on the table. Well, if you can do the mental math gymnastics there to say like, okay, well, maybe there's a couple more from the Hobbits. Maybe they're going to do young Bilbo Baggins and Gandalf looks pretty much the same in that. But it's just like, okay, this, and this, and you're just like, well, I haven't even announced this yet, but I have a feeling this is coming out and this is coming out and it might cost about this much. You might look at your collection today and be like, well, I just got to get out of it now just because I want to have the funds available for when those are there. And I'd rather sell now when nobody else is selling them. And there's just so many different things you could do as a collector that it's easy to talk yourself into doing something silly like that. And it might not be silly.
No,
you might be the first person to sell a figure, Chris, that everybody else is going to be looking to sell. It's just kind of like with the Ahsoka figures. Like I maybe waited a little bit too long to sell the Ahsoka figures, but you knew that there was going to be a buzz with the show, and if you can see that, there's going to be an increase in demand at some point with like more. The 6-scale hobby is a 6-scale hobby, but anytime you can get that crossover, and we talked about that with Sabine, when you have people outside the 6-scale hobby that see something and they're just like, oh my God, this is amazing, I want in. Those are the type of things you can expand the collector base, and you get more people potentially looking at it with eyeballs on something like an eBay that might not know that Sideshow exists. I have one figure right now that's selling on eBay that it might actually go for more than what's on Sideshow at this time, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, this is like absolutely crazy at this point. It's a figure that's in stock on Sideshow, and it might sell for just a little bit less than what Sideshow is right now. And I thought it was going to take a huge loss on this particular figure. So
yeah. We all know what it's like when you wait way too long, to sell a figure, and totally missed the boat when I had my Mark V Iron Man when it was like $1,500 and then it got reissued, and it's like, then you sell it and you're taking a loss on it. So
TC Frank did say that Asma did do a Thorin, so that's what I thought.
I couldn't remember, and that's a good thanks, Frank. But I don't remember. I don't think
it was very good. I don't think it was very good.
I think the face sculpt was
looked like it got hit with a frying pan or something.
Yeah, we know that some of those Asmus face sculpts are brutal. But
only a face a mother could love.
That's a dwarf to begin with, so
it was extra ugly even for a dwarf. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, So, I mean, like we have all said, you've got to kind of have some of these anticipations in the back of your head on, what you might do with a particular character. If you really love a particular character and, you think that one of these companies or several of them are going to make these figures, it's like, how much does the figure currently in my collection mean to me? Is it like Brian said, do I prepare by getting rid of the figure early and then that way I have the funds to jump on it on the pre-order, um, and just take advantage of that whole strategy, rather than waiting until that new version gets announced and then the floodgates open for all those other people.
Or don't buy the new stuff. Wait for the new stuff to be released, and then you buy the old stuff at a discount. So you wait 5 years, then buy the old stuff.
Yeah, because
I'm sure there's collectors that do that.
And
People
that's a
buy
great
figures.
Oh yeah, that's a great point. Like, some people just want a representation, and most of these figures are, if you're only going to have a few 6 scale figures in your collection, um, most of them are great representations of the characters, barring a few here and there. So there's nothing wrong with going for an older version and saving yourself some money and being like, this one's good enough for me.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be old. It could be like Wanda, just like I was just saying.
Yeah.
So now you can probably get Wanda. She retails for $270. Probably can get her for $220.
Yeah, or even like the Clone Wars Anakin,
Right.
Really nice figure.
Freud just got one super cheap.
Yeah. And I mean, seen him for less than $200,
and Pop Culture had all those ones recently where you could get them, I think, even with the stamp for like 180 shipped or something like crazy like that.
Silly.
Yeah, definitely don't sleep on Pop Culture. They have quite a bit. I mean, don't just go spend money to spend money, and even buying something on sale is still spending money. But if you're hunting for something, they actually have some pretty good deals.
Mm-hmm.
I had just got a speaking of 3.0, I'd got a 3.0 figure for my son and I from there recently, and shipping was pretty quick from Australia to the United States. So, and for some reason, I don't know, the three of us were talking, I don't know the exact reason. I don't know if it was like battery related or gun related, but they actually have a bunch of stuff on their site now that are actually only available for international sale and not for people in Australia. So they might actually be stuck with a lot of stuff right now that they can't actually sell to. So
they're
again,
bundling things.
Yeah.
Like there are bundles with 2 Spider-Man and a Doctor Strange for like $430.
I have a feeling they're stuck with a lot of stuff that they can't sell, and it kind of stinks, but as a collector, you can take advantage of that. So yeah, Pop Culture, check it out. All right. Closing thoughts, guys. Again, always a great discussion, even though it might be like a month in between our normal episodes here, but good stuff as always. Just quick plugs. We do have the audio podcast on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, and scavengers.libsyn.com. If you want to grab that RSS feed and throw it into your podcast catcher of choice. Thank you again to everybody that have left reviews on Apple Podcasts. It definitely helps get the signal out there, as moderator Mike said at the very beginning. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. And again, we certainly appreciate everybody that takes the time to watch live, watches these on the replay afterwards, listens to this on audio form. I mean, the time is the most valuable currency that all of us have, and the fact that you want to spend it with us and hang out, it just means the world to us. TeePublic, we sell our shirts for sale there. Links in the description below. Chris, I know you're also moonlighting on another podcast. Anything coming up?
Yeah,
I know you just had a recent show.
Yeah. So 2 things. I was a guest on my friend David Quinn's podcast, Star Wars Prototypes and Production, and we went over my opportunity to go see Ahsoka Episode 5 in theaters.
So jealous, by the way.
Won that VIP ticket from Lucasfilm. Amazing experience. So go check out his podcast. It's available on all podcatchers. And I also just recorded the latest episode of Collecting Tracks with Richard Hutchinson, and surprise, surprise, it's Ahsoka themed as well. And we talked about our feelings on the show, and no spoilers. And then we also talked about key Ahsoka collectibles out there. So it was a fun conversation, and that should be coming out soon on the Fantha Tracks podcast network. So check those out.
Very cool. All right, I think that is going to bring us to the end. And again, thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll come back here a couple. It's been a little tough for the three of us, so I would love if we could pick the same date and time. I know a lot of our collecting friends out there have like time slots they can count on. I'm coaching soccer. I'm on a soccer board. Chris, you're carting your girls around to gymnastics. I mean, we've all got all kinds of different stuff going on. So we will come in and chat with everybody as soon as it makes sense for our schedule. Again, we certainly appreciate everybody that came and hang out tonight and always do. So, all right, guys, I think that is going to do it. And let me tee this up, Chris, before I throw it over to you. So, Chris, my friend, bring us home.
Excelsior.